Right guys and girls, Mark Crossfield here. Bit of a fun video. Take what you want from this. It's more a bit of fun and a little bit of reminiscing for me. So Great Big Bertha, maybe my favourite driver of all time. This definitely moved the needle from the old Bertha driver I used, or Warbird I think it was called, compared to the TaylorMade Fire Soul with the bubble shaft. So basically we're looking at a similar-ish time that these two clubs were out. Obviously when I was gaming this club, and people were gaming this club, I seem to remember people like, did Ernie? Definitely, Retief Goosen I reckon gamed that. Maybe in the comments let us know who was famous for gaining these ones. So basically if we look with modern tech now at these two drivers, which one comes out best? And there's some other interesting things to learn from these two drivers as well as we go, which I'll share with you. Comments down below, who do you reckon was ahead of the curve first? Callaway, TaylorMade, what do you reckon? I reckon that one was outselling that one by a mile, but who actually performed the better? Let's find out. So I've not done loads of research into what people were claiming with both of these clubs. Obviously you've got the red, very kind of loudish sound of the TaylorMade. I don't like the look of this driver. I never did like the look of the goldy, reddy, fiery shape, and I didn't like that it was so squished. It just didn't make any sense. It felt more like a Freewood to me, and I certainly didn't like those lines. That was just my personal preference. I was gaming this club and I liked the depth of it. I could tee it up high, get low spinners off the top. I like the cleanness of the top, and I like the metal look of it because it was the metal wood kind of titanium and all those kind of things. And I like the fact that it was metal and it made that lovely big tingy sound. Hopefully you can pick that up. Bubble shaft as I would imagine, but correct me if I'm wrong about redistributing weight, possibly almost counterbalancing, which you could argue is ahead of its time. I've got a counterbalanced driver now. Let's give these a wallop, shall we? Fun game at the end, and we're also going to see what numbers come out of these drivers. That's a line ball to kick us off. Get on the line, stay on, oh, just crossed it. Definitely makes a metal sound, you know, it's still a titanium wood, it's got tungsten in the back. Obviously they're talking about ideas of centre of gravities, but they probably weren't back then. And this is what I think is always really interesting with club design. I mean, you cannot tell me that the engineers of back then didn't understand what centre of gravity would do to clubs then to now. Obviously by putting tungsten on the back here, they're probably trying to drag it low, like modern day clubs all do these kind of ideas. Fire Soul, aerodynamics possibly, because this isn't interacting with the ground, is it? The Soul on a driver. And the bubble shaft obviously is very standout look. Again, very visual tech, which we still see from TaylorMade really to this day, don't we? And that's because clubs manufacturers do like to, you know, they've got traditions that they kind of work on and embrace and develop, which is, I think, a good thing in club design. So let's compare that up to the Great Big Bertha. First time I hit one of these was I used David Howell's in a practice round for a then was Hippo Tour event, like a, you know, below European Tour event that him and a few tour players were playing in, because I think the European Tour wasn't on that week and they just wanted to take all our money. And I hit his one on a hole in a practice round compared to my Warbird driver, much smaller, and the flight was like noticeably different and further, and I instantly went home and bought one literally the very next day. And I remember getting it and it was just so big for the time. The deeper face, I think, makes a lot more sense on this driver for me as well. It allowed us to tee up that little bit higher, which allowed us, without knowing at the time, probably to get up at it more, which allowed us to take a little bit of spin off if we could control loft and get those lower spinning shots. So out of these two clubs, I definitely feel like this is more the blueprint of where we went and we're going to go. This was still trying to look really jazzy and stand out, and that bit just annoyed people. Certainly any golf pro had to re-grip those things. They were impossible to re-grip. You actually had to have a special attachment because the top of the bubble shaft's so thick you could never get the grip over the top. Literally, if I saw someone coming into my pro shop when I was an assistant with one of them in their hands, I ran into the back or to the loo and let Malcolm, the head pro, deal with that, because you did not want to be re-gripping one of them. It could take you ages. And this makes that lovely sound. Like, this is a real classic sound real titanium, that classic titanium ting for me. And what's interesting is this one looks bigger down by the ball, because there's definitely more stretched outness and flattening to it, where this feels bigger by the ball because of the depth. You know, I'm not particularly using much this way. I'm definitely using more deviation this way, it feels like. And this club just gave me a little bit less of that, if anything more this way. They both feel very solid still. I'm not moving them quite to modern day standards because they're a little bit shorter in length. I reckon I could if we had shaft lengths exactly the same length as my club. Let's look at the two numbers of the old clubs. Just how far behind modern drivers are they? And how close or far apart are they? So really interesting numbers here. If we look at the two, the potential in ball speed is 3 miles. I mean, that is different. It's faster out of the Great Big Bertha to the Firesoul. Launching at the same. Firesoul spinning a fraction less, but they're really standard deviation crossing over really, so almost exactly the same. Carry, definitely the same. So you could argue the modern one is 2 yards longer on this batch of averages, which you can see here, but look at the two circles. The deviation is far greater, so 6 yards deviation, standard deviation with the Callaway, which definitely overlaps it with TaylorMade. And the total distance exactly the same. They are performing so similar. Strike's very similar, and I'm moving them at the same speed. I can get them to 110, but I'm gonna have to really push. I think this is interesting. The efficiency is definitely a little bit lower in the Firesoul. If that played out with a bigger batch of shots, like that was a decent batch, but a much bigger batch, it would be interesting to tell. But even with that lower efficiency, really, they're going pretty much the same with the standard deviations, like I say, just totally overlapping these. And the batch I hit, you can see the Firesoul was actually much tighter. What's really interesting with both of these clubs as well is that if you do get a high toe strike, which is a strike I get with a modern driver that works quite well for me, with these clubs the spin just drops ridiculously low and their ball falls out of the air. But remember, I mean, when I was gaming this Callaway driver, I was using a Ballata ball, and the crossover between Ballata and these two clubs is going to be quite close. If they're, I mean, predominantly maybe Ballata in that, and maybe a bit of a crossover in this one. I think this was 1998, 7, 9, so I think 2001 was it, was the Pro V came out. So you are really starting to cross over with these to the new ball, and I think you can really see that. So if you think about the low spinning drops off of this, with the old ball, they would probably do really well, and you wouldn't actually see any difference from those numbers if you kept your strike up in that spot. And what I remember from my version of the Great Big Bertha that I had is the face would slightly discolor, like the layer of the lacquer, almost. See how it's discoloring on top? See this line here compared to this bit? That would happen on the face, and I hit my driver in a pretty repeatable place. I mean, I used all parts of it, but I was able to wear it out to a certain extent, take the lacquer off it, and it was there. My sweet spot on that club, my worn out bit was up there. I remember seeing that and people asked me, saying, why are you in it there, not there? And I didn't actually know at the time because I was just a kid. But what I did know is I hit the fairway a lot and my driving felt like a strength, even though now I know it was nowhere near long enough, which I wish I did know in that time. So I normally put a green out there at 320. I'm going to put a green out there at 310 yards, which I don't think I can reach with one of these clubs. In the comments down below, old club 310, surely never. I don't think I can. And we'll add these numbers to that data set as well, just a bit of fun. So Great Big Bertha to kick us off, and I am actually I'm gonna have to kill this to get this anywhere near there. Oh, and there's the high toe. Look at that dip. Oh, yay, baby. So it's saying backspin there is 3-1, but it isn't. I reckon that backswing was nearer 700. Might need a little better strike than that. Better strike, not my fastest though. 109 club, need to get to 110 club and get a proper low spin turner. So you can see where that one's going, 276 total, 258 carry, 29 spin. I'm going to tee it up a little higher and over, because that's way too high for this club, but I'm going to try and get it nearer the top of the bat. No, it's out the bottom. 110 club, so here we go, 110 club, if I can connect, we're not going to be miles off. That is going to be miles off. Just the 3,500 spin from the bottom strike. Oh, that was a better one. Is that the flight? 110 club. Yeah, here we go. This is closer. There we go. That is reaching. That's front edge. That's 298. 300 to about the front of the green. Yeah, 275 carry. That's pretty good, isn't it, for an old club? Because that's basically, I am hitting it hard, but that's basically where I am with a modern club. With 285 carries if I hit it maybe as hard as that. 110 club. So like, I reckon we could get front edge, but worlds are going to have to collide. One more with great big. I didn't draw. Spin's going to go up slightly. Nice strike as well, that was. It was just not the right delivery, so it is that bit shorter. Apart from the one crazy, I do feel like I can go at it with that club. Come on, bubble shaft. Get me to that green. That's a complete miss it. 109 club, so we're going to get the club to 110. I might just need to hit the face. I think the other thing that's really interesting in this era as well is that swinging the golf club was about this so much. It wasn't about what I'm doing here, which is trying to hit it as hard as possible. And where there's so much talk about these, because the manufacturers spend a lot of money to make sure they're in your vision and that you are talking about them, that's what they want. There's less talk, well, there's lots of talk, but there needs to be more talk about how you shift the needle personally if you want to get more out of stuff, where this actually, as you can see, even back in those days, how close the manufacturers were, like they still are now. Here we go, that's a low spin bomb, surely. 110 club, it is a line ball. Go, go, that's a line. It's on the line. It's literally on the line. Yeah, so 266 carry. I do feel like there's a little less out of this, like a fraction less. And this is what I think so interesting from these videos, and I know people watch lots of other videos of testing and what have you. This is just a bit of fun. When I say there's more out of that than this, I think there's exactly the same out of both of these clubs. But what I mean is the dynamic of how I want to hit the ball to get the most out of it in front of a launch monitor that has a slight exaggeration on a low spin shot, and I'm trying to hit a green which is outside of my abilities to hit through strength. This deeper head with the ability to hit the higher, lower spinning shot allows me to do the whole worlds collide, get the green at 310, which is often what you guys and girls remember. Oh, we hit an old club 310. This one, if you were able to hit the ball full distances with a pretty level angle of attack, maybe 2 up, I get up to 6 up, and you could manage the face with all your deliveries, then this one might come out better for you than this one. What was interesting back in the day is no one was actually testing really these, they were just literally buying them. So think of the differences with now. It's not tech, it's the fact that I can get you a lower spinning, a higher spinning, a light shaft, a heavier shaft, different lofts down from 7 up to 12, 13, 14 degrees. I know what you're doing down here when you deliver, hitting down, hitting up, so I know where shallower heads, deeper heads. Like, there's so much I can do to try and squeeze every little ounce out of you. So even though I think that one does more, I don't think it's a better club. I would say it's a better fitting club for the way I deliver the ball, or deliver the club at the ball, or want to, because I could deliver it whichever way I wanted to be fair, over time. I'm just happy with the way I deliver it, so why change it? Let's give this another go though, see if we can get those worlds colliding a bit more. I just feel like that's the 2000 spin, 2.2 that was. I don't think I can get a 1.9 with this that easily, because I'm scared I'm going to sky it. Dead straight, right out the bottom. So again, it just highlights the importance of fitting and how much more regular and easily fitting is for people now. And that's where I think some people might be seeing their gains from the skills of the people you're actually getting to mingle with, the pros who are much better at, you know, getting the most out of you than maybe just what the manufacturers are saying they're doing with their tech. That's a decent hit, but it's still, the Bertha's going to be better. That's 110 club, but that ain't getting there. So if we compare, look, you can see the difference. It stays the same. Again, it's 2 yards, but the standard deviation on both of them is going up. You can see that because I hit that real toey dipper. If we took that one out, this would push on a little bit more, but I'll keep it in. But look at the standard deviation of this. Like, that's 24 yards. That's 30 yards standard deviation, which is quite wide because I'm trying to whack it. But just think about some of the things that are being sold to you as gains in modern club. Like, if I've got a 12-yard standard deviation short and long, that'll be like a, let's say a 20-degree standard deviation left and right, Yet someone's telling you something's 4 yards longer. Like, come on, we can be cleverer than this. Or maybe we can't, because maybe we just want clicks, I don't know. Right, last couple with Great Big Bertha. Can I hit the 310 green? It's going to be a real push, but here we go. I see them very much as the same. I do see the Great Big Bertha much more as where clubs were going. Bigger, deeper. And I see the Fire Soul more as a, hello, no, that's not going to be long enough. More as a bells and whistles club, which again, nothing really has changed that much maybe. That was only 108 club, 262 carry. Oh, 262, my old friend, welcome back, 262. Right, last one. Getting out the bottom. Good speeds, good loft delivery. It's going to be too high spinning. It's about a 262 carry again. Look, it's going 283, 84, 263 carry, 156 ball. There's plenty to be had out of these. It's interesting, isn't it? Last one. Draw. Don't stay out there. I towed that. I thought that was going to draw back. I felt faster as well. 263 carry. Need like a 112 club, which I can't quite get with this club today. I've been on holiday for the weekend. I've slowed down a little bit, I think. 111 club. Here we go. What's the spin? Get up. Get up. That's a good effort. And that's a 158 ball, 26 spin, 272 carry. That was a lot of fun. Blast from the past. Do you remember any of these drivers or not? I mean, I bought these so cheap off eBay. People talk about drivers and that being really expensive, which I agree. Golf clubs and golf is really expensive. But I'm having a lot of fun with two drivers there that cost about 30 quid and 29.99. And I know there's things out there better, but you can see the numbers I'm getting there are not crazy short. And if you just want to go and have fun, there's so many options and you don't even have to go this far back. Definitely two big guns still and two big guns of the time. That definitely felt like it shifted the needle, pushed everything forwards. This was just another go at something different that maybe didn't quite come off. But at the end of the day, they both performed very similar. That one performed better for me, and I think that's the depth in the head. But again, even for modern clubs, they're as close as modern clubs, which is quite interesting. I wouldn't have known that without doing that fun test. Thanks for watching, everybody. Speak to you in the next video.